Don't speak what you don't understand. The truth is not in your command. Don't shout about what you think is fake. The decision isn't yours to make. Don't lie about the way things are. Tall tales will take you very far. Don't scoff when they say it's the end. In this life, you know you can't pretend. The days pass by, they've set in stone, but it's not too late now for you to.
Hey everyone, it's Marianne from the New York City Organization of Public Service Retirees. It is late. It is almost 9 o'clock at night, but I've been super busy today and I had a meeting of my own I had to go to, and I'm just getting back. And so I wanted to update you on a few things regarding this healthcare plan, proposed plan for non-Medicare retirees and active workers. So let's get into some of this, right? This plan is a proposed plan, and it is being negotiated between the city and the Municipal Labor Committee. And they had promised since the 2022 RFP to save $1 billion. And this was partially as a result to them having illegally tried to force us into Medicare Advantage plan and some of the decisions that they had made. This is where all the copay decisions came from, is as unions were trying to constantly come up with funding mechanisms for their contracts, and knowing that retirees go to the doctors more, funding by copays on the retirees was bringing in more cash. When the copay case got stopped, when the Medicare Advantage got stopped, they had no way of being able to fund all of the agreements, which were literally being funded on retirees' backs. They didn't expect retirees to rebel the way we did. Now, you have a plan that's been designed by a very small group within the Municipal Labor Committee. They also have so many different secret committees. So you have the Municipal Labor Committee, which is 102 unions. And I don't think, nope, I haven't been signed. I used to have a list of all of the unions in the MLC. I will get that back up. There's 102 unions in the MLC, the last we knew. Now, there's many more unions in the city, but some of them they choose not to be part of the MLC. Now, the MLC kept starting to create these smaller committees, which are like totally secret. You never hear who's on them, how they voted. You don't know any of this. This is so secret squirrel, it's ridiculous. Not transparent, not democratic. And it was another way of being able to be able to control who's controlling the design or the vote, right? Everyone says to me, like, I'll get union leaders that'll say, what do you want me to do? My vote doesn't count. Yes, it does. And I'm going to show you why. If I can actually pull up one of these memos. So let me get into, before I do that, let me get into Monday and Tuesday. So Monday is the MLC Steering Committee. And I know some of you have seen me put up memos. And I'm going to see if I could actually pull one up now to show you what I'm talking about. And if you've ever seen one of these MLC meetings, minutes or memos, the memo will always is on their letterhead. And oh yeah, here's one. And the letterhead, whoever's on the letterhead is on the steering committee. So that's one committee, but then they have technical committees and they have these other committees and tripartite committees, and you never really know who's on them. This, though, the steering committee meets on Monday. And I'm going to show you, if I can just find my other screen, who those people are. This committee meets on Monday morning at 9 a.m. So the steering committee then will look at this plan, and they're going to determine whether or not they send it to the general membership, the full 102 unions, whether or not they want to vote for it. So the steering committee either decides they're going to approve it, they're going to deny it, they're going to table it. They need more information. We've been trying to tell everyone, you need more information. There is no way you should be supporting this plan without having many of the questions that we sent them. And I've showed you the letter that we wrote to them, asking them for that same exact data. Well, some of them don't think that they have a voice, and we think that they absolutely do. And we're trying to empower them that they do have a voice and that they should be asking for, some of this information. Whether or not they choose to do it, I don't know what to tell you. But I'm hoping that they come to their senses and they decide that they should be asking. But anyway, this meeting is Monday at 9. Now, does anyone else know? Let me flip to my comments here. Does anyone else know what else is happening on Monday? Like at 4 p.m. around 52 Broadway? Does anybody? Feel free to drop it in the chat. What's happening on Monday at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon? Anybody? Don't be shy. Come on, you guys know. The DA. Thank you, Jackie. Yes. Absolutely. The delegate assembly is happening on Monday at 4 p.m. So yes, at the UFT vote. So now let me ask you a question. If the steering committee is going to vote on whether or not to vote to whether or not to send this plan to the general membership for a vote at Monday at 9, how can Michael Mulgrew be able to cast a vote in the MLC steering committee meeting at 9 a.m. when the UFT meeting isn't until 4? Anybody? I don't know. Asking for 89,000 friends. This is concerning because he's going to probably try to go, I'm going to vote to prove this plan contingent upon my 4 p.m. vote. No. That's not how that's supposed to work. The vote's at 9. If you didn't do your due diligence and get your steering committee meeting before Monday at 9, you should have done that homework. But you've tried to jam this thing the whole way through. Then here's another thing I have to ask. Has any other union been allowed to bring the contract back to their boards at all? Anybody? No. None of them were. The unions were given 1 day between 10 and 3. Typically, they had about an hour to view a 150-page contract. But hey, guess what? The United Federation of Teachers was able to bring the contract for 2 hours, I understand, to their healthcare committee, which was 80, 100 people-ish or so. No other union was given that opportunity. None. And for those reasons alone, this should be tabled. So if there's any unions watching this right now, you want a transparent democratic process, then your unions and your members should have had the same ability. You all should have been offered to bring that contract back. Here's another issue. The health committee actually voted to support this plan and pass it to the delegate assembly without seeing that contract. They only saw the contract last week. How the hell could you vote to support a contract for health care that would affect 750,000 people? And even the RTC UFT people, all the retired people, the people that were from retired teacher chapter who were on the health committee, they were called last minute, need you to come. And they Michael Mulgrew gave them the spiel, and they wanted to know if they would support this. Unanimously, they said, pass it. Yes, we do. We pass it and give it to the delegate assembly. The delegates assembly is going to go, well, the healthcare committee supported it unanimously. These morons didn't even see the contract until last Wednesday. But they had already supported the contract. You want to talk corruption? This is corruption. This is some sneaky bullshit. So we keep having questions. What the unions were able to see still does not reveal exactly how they can see whether or not that where is there a funding agreement. If they're supposed to meet $1 billion in savings, if that savings doesn't come to fruition, Where is the city going to get it from? Are you going to have copays? Are you going to have deductibles? Are you going to have premiums instituted? They didn't put PICA involved in this. PICA, they want to delay to negotiate until after this plan is codified. The Widows and Children Fund, no one's worrying about them except for the uniformed. Why? Because the stabilization fund that Michael Mulgrew and Henry Garrido and Harry Nispoli bankrupted was paying for the widows and children. Typically, those widows and children are fire, police, EMS, correction, sometimes sanitation, but typically fire and police and EMS. So the rest of the civilian unions don't seem to give a shit about that. That hasn't been funded in a while. And the city keeps reneging on its promise to pay it. And the unions have to keep fighting back. Why would that be tolerated? Who else can expose this but Marianne? It's so much to put it all together. Faye, this is like a soap opera. As the MLC turns, and as the MLC turns my stomach, this is the disturbing part, that they're allowed to do this. Absolutely disturbing. They should never have been allowed to do this to begin with. The questions that we put forth weren't answered. We sent a letter requesting information on September 8th to Office of Labor Relations. We sent a demand letter last week. They got it. They wrote us back. They said, you'll get the information when you get it. When it's public, we'll give it to you. Remember, guys, this plan, if it gets passed at the Monday steering committee meeting, it has to be sent to the full MLC the very next day on Tuesday, the 30th. After that, the meeting, this proposed plan has to go to Mayor's Office of Contracts for, remember those crazy, that like dumpster fire of a hearing? It had to go for like a telephone call hearing we had during COVID. Do you remember this? And it was like a crazy, it was one of the worst phone calls I've ever heard. It was literally a hearing on a telephone with thousands of people screaming at each other. Has to go through one of those. And then after that, it gets sent to the comptroller, and the comptroller has 30 days to look at this agreement and see whether or not he should approve it. These are the concerns. And maybe we need to start writing Brad Lander, because he hasn't responded to us like Justin Brannon hasn't responded to us either. So they're so worried about their healthcare, they don't even know about this yet. And they're not asking questions. I don't know. But they're not responding to us on this. So I think maybe all you guys should start emailing Brad Lander and telling him our questions. I sent you guys that link to our questions in the email like last Sunday. I guess it was this past Sunday. Let me see if I can pull up one of my files here. If I can find it. And for some reason, it's not coming up. Give me 1 second, because I want to save it somewhere and then pull it up there. That way you could see what I'm talking about. Because some of you, if you're active, these are your unions. And if you're not active, and these are your former unions, if you're retired and they're your former union, you might want to be calling them to say, hey, what are you doing on Monday? Because this is the first vote that's going to happen. Monday is the steering committee. Tuesday. Tuesday. Am I freezing? I'm freezing. Give me a second. Let's see if that works. Nope. And it's not letting me do it for some reason. Oh, here it is. Give me 1 second. Share. I must have slow internet or something. Okay. Oops. I'm having technical difficulties. Okay. Municipal Labor Committee. You could see that screen. Let me see if I could take, I'll see if I could I make that any bigger? So I want you to see Oops, that's too big. You see this column here on the side? All of these people are who's in the steering committee. These are the people that will be voting on Monday. So you have Harry Nespoli, you have Henry Garrido, Michael Mulgrew, Greg Floyd from Local 237, Gloria Middleton, CWA 1180. And then here's all the vice chair people, right? You have Andy Ansbro from the UFA, Benny Bascio from the Correction Captains, Jim Brosey from the UFOA, Joe Colangelo, SEIU, 246. You have Bob Krogan, Organization of Staff Analysts. You have Jim Davis from the PSC. You have, where did that go? Jim Davis. You have Michael DeMarco, 1455 New York City Traffic Employees. Sonia Lawrence from New York State Nurses Association. Martin Leiden from District Council of Carpenters. William Lynn, International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 30, Joe Mannion, Sanitation Officers, Francis Key, Doctors Council, Henry Rubio, Council of School Supervisors and Administrators, Dennis Schock, who is United Sanitation Men's Union, Louis Turco, Lieutenants Benevolent Association, Maf Mizba Udin, Local 1407, New York City Accountants, Statisticians, and Actuaries of DC 37, Anthony Wells, DC 37, Local 371. So these people are the steering committee on Monday. So my point is that Monday, those people get a vote. Whether or not their questions were answered and they had enough information to cast a vote that they should send this plan to the general membership in support to support it. So if you know any of those people, then you might want to be asking them, how are you going to vote on Monday? Because if you don't have enough information and you don't have enough answers to know, like, where is this going to, if you don't save the $1 billion, what's going to happen? What are the prior authorizations on? How often they can be changed? Who can change them? You're asking, Jackie, can you post the link to the questions on your website? I emailed it out like a week ago. Hold on, let me see if I can pull it up again. And it was in the email because I wanted you to see what we asked, because I wanted you to call your union or former unions and ask them, like, do you have the answers to these questions? Because this is what you should know. Now let's just make sure that I've got the right one. Yep, this is it. Okay, I'm coming back to you. Here is the link to the questions we sent the union leaders, because we wanted them to know what are the answers to these questions. Do you know what prior authorizations are? Don't tell me that they're 50% less, because that's bullshit. I don't really care that they're 50%. 50% less of what? That doesn't make any sense. What are they on? And there's even misleading information. Like, one of the things we saw said that there was no prior authorizations on orthopedic surgeries, but then there's prior authorizations on hospitalizations. Well, if you're going into the hospital for surgery, for an orthopedic surgery, don't you gonna need prior authorization? And you should also know the appeal process. What is the process? How many appeals do you get? Who's making those decisions? Is it a human who's a doctor, or is it an AI computer? You really need to know this. So look at those questions, because those questions really need to have answers. You need to know what the network is. Don't just tell me, go look at it. Send me a damn link. Remember something. 2 courts in 2 different cases gave us a restraining order on exactly this situation. The court said that you should be able to have adequate information in a timely manner in order to make a decision on whether or not this plan was right for you. Now, this is going to become the default plan, which means they are getting rid of GHI, CBP, and Anthem. Gone. This will be the replacement for anyone who is non-Medicare retiree. So all you people on Medicare, you could disregard this if you don't have younger people in your household, okay? Non-Medicare retiree and active workers, or younger non-Medicare dependents, I should say. This plan becomes the default plan. Now, I already told you that this has to go to a hearing through MOX. I also told you that the controller has to have this plan for 30 days. Are you going to be able to have this plan and review it with enough time before November 30th, before November 1st? Open enrollment in the city of New York is November 1st through November 30th. Are you going to have enough time to determine that this plan is right for you if you don't get it until the second or third week of November? And that's saying that MOX very quickly schedules this hearing, like within the first week after the MLC approves it, and then the controller gets it right away, and he makes his decision in less than 30 days. No, that's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. And then this becomes the free default plan, like the free choice. You could either be HIP HMO or you could have this, and all your other choices remain. But maybe this plan doesn't work for you. We're hoping that it does, because there's a lot of benefits to this plan that we're actually very optimistic about. The size of the network, that whether you're in New York, you're in upstate New York, you're in Florida, Iowa, California, Texas, Arizona, Idaho, doesn't really matter. You have a network now that you didn't have before on the GHI plan. We're optimistic about this plan, but we can't fully get behind it without having the answers to our questions. And this is why we keep saying transparency builds trust. And unfortunately, the MLC, the UFT, DC 37 have betrayed that trust time and time again. They lied about the Medicare Advantage. They lied about the copays. They've been lying consistently. There is no trust. They not only threw everybody under the bus to fund their 2014 and their 2018 contracts, they literally did this. And all the other unions believed what they said, and their members believed them. This is why it's important. If you want transparency, then give it to us. If you want support and trust, then earn it. Give us the answers to our questions. We would be on your side and support you, not fight you. Because if they don't give this to us, we would be prepared to now file another restraining order. So think about that for a second. So that's important to know. I'm emailing my neighbor son works for DOE your questions. Thank you. They should go to the union presidents, because the union presidents, and they may have gotten that, because we have probably about 250 different emails for boards and delegates and union presidents. I mean, we're going to miss a chunk of them because they keep changing. And of course, they always try to hide their information from us, like they don't want to know. But I think it's important. I don't think actives know what questions to ask like you do. And they don't, right? That's the thing. I've been doing healthcare benefits for 30 years or so. Understand something. Like you see, I keep saying this over and over again. You have your Mr. Grubiaks and your Emily Jameses doing this cute poppy videos and writing on Substacks and attacking me all over the place. But they don't know what they don't know. They don't know the questions that they should be asking. All they know is the glossy bullshit that's being put before them, and they're being told, go cheer this up. Because they're just being good minions. I don't need minions. We need cold, hard facts. There's no reason to trust anyone what they're doing after what they've done to us and continuously put us through. That we have Medicare retirees that are in financial debt because of the copays that were put upon us to finance their contracts. I don't trust them for nothing. And they're not rolling that back. They're not working with us to understand that they're literally funding themselves on the backs of the elderly and the disabled. Their copays became predatory, where we have people that make $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 paying up to $34,000. Right now, we'll be releasing a video soon. We have a retiree whose copays are over $3,500 for the first 6 months between her and her husband. That is what the UFT, DC 37, and the Municipal Labor Committee did to us. And yet they don't see who we are. And because we're not in the union, they don't hear us bitching that they're putting us in debt. This is why we need to ask the questions, because they're not. They don't know what to ask, Long Beach. You're 100% correct on that. Katie, he can't vote yes at 9 a.m. Well, you might want to tell him that, because I'm telling you right now, that steering committee I'm being told is at 9 a.m. on Monday. And he, as I showed you, right here, Michael Mulgrew, Executive Vice Chair, Mulgrew is on the steering committee, and this committee meets Monday morning. So I want to know how he could vote at 9 when he's not going to have his DA approval until after 4. So that's for you guys to handle. I wish the PBA would break off from the MLC. Many of our members retire in their early 40s and leave the state. And so Captain and Coke 70, I was just literally having this conversation with another person tonight. Many uniforms have a 20 and out pension. You stay 20 years. 3MS, we're 25 years, right? You take a test, you enter city service in your 20s, you stay your 20, 25, and you leave. Like for EMS, for example, it doesn't pay for you to stay past 30. You'll earn pension credits for that next 5 years, but then you don't earn anything. It doesn't pay for you to stay. It pays for you to take your pension and go somewhere else or retire. And if you feel that you're too young to retire, but yet you still need a pension to get yourself through and you pick up a little job or whatever, but you're still young. Many uniforms retire young. So when you leave, let's say you join the job at 25, you could be leaving this job at 45 or 50, which means you will be on this healthcare plan until you're 65. If they fuck this up, you're on this plan until you're 65, unless someone else with a lot of brains, not me, I'm retired, decides to renegotiate something better. I don't know what to tell you. But they're not thinking about their future. They're thinking about their right now, because they made a deal. If you remember, in 2022, the unions decided that they had to change the administrative code to be able to force a plan on us that they wanted to choose as the benchmark plan. Remember that? January 9th, 2023, when we brought thousands of retirees out to City Hall on that 10-hour long hearing, that they had to force retirees into Medicare Advantage by Aetna then, because the other program was backing out. And they had to do the RFP for the active worker, non-Medicare retirees. This was 2022. That would save $1 billion. And Alan Klinger told them that the way for them for the city to eat the $600 million to $1 billion debt that it was owed, because remember, that plan was supposed to go into Medicare Advantage was supposed to go in effect in 21. So from 21 to 22, we were moving into 23. Alan Klinger said in this MLC meeting that the city says that you owe them $600 million to $1 billion. And the way for them to eat the $1 billion debt is for you to do 1, 2, and 3. The RFP for the active worker, non-Medicare, change the administrative code to be able to force a plan on whatever, what did they call that? Groups of people, or there was a phrase that they used, whatever groups of people that they wanted to put them on, and then do this RFP, change the law, do the RFP, and force everyone into Aetna Medicare Advantage. If you did all that, the city would waive its debt. This is the last part, the $1 billion. Where if they don't meet the savings, what happens? Does the insurance company eat it? Do you get copays, premiums, deductibles, more prior authorizations? Is your care become more managed, that it's not operating like a PPO, it's operating like an HMO? What's the answer? You need to have those answers. Because if not, you guys that are negotiating this plan, any of those unions, UFA, UFOA, COBA, nurses, carpenters, all of you guys, better get used to this plan, because you just bought this without reviewing the full terms of the contract. You now own this plan, good, bad, indifferent, and major ugly. This could be your big ugly bill if you don't know the details. And of course, you're not negotiating PICA, and no one's saying what the hell's going to happen with the Widows and Children Fund. Why would you not package this all together? So all of that, They don't have enough information in my book, and they shouldn't be allowed to do this. That's my opinion, but clearly there are some people listening, but there's still a lot of people that are not, because they're going to listen, I would bet you my pension, someone's going to say it at the meeting on Monday or Tuesday. We have no choice. We have to do this now. The city says we have to do this. No, you go back to the city like a union, grab your cojones, and you walk in there and say, I'm not going to screw my people like you tried to make me do the last time. Give me this freaking information. And if you really want us to pass it, you'll give us the data to share with our people. End of story. Make this easy. It doesn't have to be that difficult. So, I know. Can you send those questions for Lander again to do over the weekend and these instructions? Send the questions. Faye, I may try to do that. I guess tomorrow's Friday, right? What the hell happened to this week? Is tomorrow Friday? Tomorrow's Friday, right? Holy crap. Tomorrow's Friday. Okay. I will try to squeeze that in tomorrow. I'll get you questions to write to Brad Lander about. All right, let's see what else we got. The mayor overrode Lander. Yes, I'm aware. The mayor can override Lander, but Lander still has to have the contract for 30 days. He has 30 days to review it. He's not going to rush this. Can the mayor still override him? Of course he can. That'll probably push you into 30 days plus 2 or 1. I don't think the actives know. Yep, I just answered that one. Let's see. Can the retirees file a restraining order on this? Yes, we absolutely can. Isn't Nespoli? And that's really interesting, because if you see the top of this, it does say Harry Nespoli is the chairperson, but he's not. Now, I don't know if he's if he still is entitled to a vote. I don't think he is, but I don't know. If someone who's on the MLC could answer that question, I'll go back and look at the bylaws, but I don't know the answer to that question. I would think absolutely no. But you just never know. Yep, retired at 42. See, and you just made my point. Because uniforms, mostly with the 20 and out pension, have stay for 20-ish or 22-ish and you leave. That doesn't really pay for you to stay. So you will be on this plan for a very long time if they fuck this up. But the last 13 years has been a disaster out of state. I am aware, because I'm out of state as well. So I understand the fight that you have. I've been, like I said, doing benefits for 30 years. I understand this. This has been a struggle. When I moved out of state, they had said to me, you need to go through and look at the plans to be able to look and see which plans would be in your area. I happened to be on a plan in New York that when I moved here, the plan wasn't accepted. So when you're a retiree, you have the ability to be able to change plans during open enrollment, once in a lifetime at any time, which we've been begging people not to use because you never know how they're going to screw shit up. Or if you move to an area in which the plan that you're on doesn't have providers, you can change plans then. So those are the keys to do that. Used to be retirees couldn't change plans for every 2 years. Now you can change it every year. And I don't know if they'll change that again. So keep that in mind as well. I still can't understand why Lander never agreed to audit the healthcare stabilization fund and has been hands-off about the new plan for actives and non-Medicare retirees. So, Ellen, I'm hearing the stabilization fund audit's been completed, and I believe it's in the hands of the city right now for comment. I have not seen it. I've heard about it, and I heard it was scathing. Whether or not that's true, I really can't tell you. I'm waiting to find out myself. And when I find it, I will share it with you. My neighbor's son who works for DOE said he looked at the new plan and said that they are the same, except the plan adds no. Yeah, no. However, you should share those questions, Long Beach, with your son who works for the DOE, because he's probably drinking the Michael Mulgrew Kool-Aid and doesn't know the questions to ask either, because he doesn't know the deals that were made. It'll just look like the same because he's looking at the propaganda and he's not looking at all the other things that he should be looking for. So I have 10 more years of non-Medicare. There you go. I will be a total of 23 years of non-Medicare. Are these MLC members responding to questions from their constituents? I have no idea. They're not responding to me, I'll tell you that. Some of them are, but not the majority. And if they are, they're talking amongst themselves quietly. Try to stay as healthy as possible since insurance is basically useless unless I fly up to New York. So many in service remain apathetic. I know, because they just believe whatever their union leader spews out to them. I do understand your points, and they are valid. Thank you. There are advertisements running on Scripps TV, hands off my healthcare. Yes, that is another retiree group, not a retiree active group. It's a coalition, I believe, of some DC 37 retirees. We are speaking with them, and we're choosing to keep speaking with them. We need to make sure that if we're working with someone that our priorities align together. If not, we work where we can and not where we don't. As a Medicare retiree, I will have to look for different insurance. No. So like I said to you before, this has nothing to do with Medicare. If you are a Medicare retiree, you still have your senior care. And newsflash to that, the unions are already talking about putting senior care out to rebid, okay, after this plan is done. But no, LM, this doesn't affect you. So you still have your Emblem GHI senior care. That's not going away, at least not now. So this nothing to do with you. This has to do with non-Medicare retirees and active workers. You don't have to look for different insurance. Your senior care is fine. Your primary insurance is Medicare. And I don't want to hear this crap where people are saying, oh, well, doctors are saying they're not taking Emblem. No, if your doctor takes Medicare, that's the question. Do you take Medicare, doctor? If the doctor says yes, it doesn't matter what your supplement is, because the supplement isn't the one that's paying them. It's Medicare. Medicare pays the first 80%. And then whatever they pay, the bill then gets sent to Emblem. You pay your copay, and Emblem pays whatever's left if there's anything left. This has nothing to do with that, okay? So don't worry about that part. I would like to view the So Would We, Long Beach. They have no idea what's happening. Their chapter leaders and district reps are not informed. No, they're just being told what to say with a script from 52 Broadway. Can you get the 18 city council members to call the MLC to stop? Honestly, we've tried calling a few of them to tell them, especially the ones that they first called us, and then they didn't want to hear about it. Can we get Lander to talk? Can we get in to talk to Lander and the contracts? We're already working on that, but I'm already telling you we're already working on that. Aetna family will bankrupt you or won't buck Mulgrew. Yeah. I think the MLC ability to change administrative code since 1960. I agree with you. I do as well. Senior, we don't know. So that's why I keep telling you guys, make sure that your peers, your colleagues that are not supporting this organization, start supporting this organization. And make sure that that your donations keep coming in and you get your peers to donate, especially the non-Medicare people. We are probably going to have to file a restraining order if they don't give us the answers to these questions, because we don't believe you're going to have this information enough time to make an informed decision. So I'm sending the actives that Daily News op-ed and asking for donations. Some will give and some are just assholes. I totally understand. So guys, I do want to wrap this up and keep this short. I will probably edit this video as well and take out the Q&A part and just leave the beginning on the regular videos. If you want to go back and watch this, I did post it to our Facebook page. It's on our Facebook private group, and it's also on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, and X. But you can, of course, go and go back and look at it at any one of those locations. It will be on YouTube under the lives. I don't see, let me check Instagram if I have any questions. I don't have any questions in Instagram. And okay, so I'm going to end this here. You guys are, will see me tomorrow night Oh, I think I froze. You guys will see me tomorrow night at 6 p.m. And I will have questions that you could ask for of Brad Lander over the weekend. Yes, give your COPE to UFT. Give your UFT COPE to New York City retirees. Thank you. Not to me personally. Give your COPE to the New York City retirees. We could definitely use your COPE because your unions or former unions are working against you. And again, health stabilization fund being drained sucks. Well, for the non-Medicare retirees, yeah, absolutely, and the active workers, and I'll bet you those though they don't even know what the hell that means. You're welcome, Jackie. So everyone, you guys have a great night. I do want you, as if you're UFT, you better start asking those questions. How is it that Michael Mulgrew can cast a vote at the steering committee on Monday at 9 a.m. when that delegate assembly meeting isn't until 4? He doesn't have the permission, and he sure as hell better not be voting like, I'm casting a yes vote just in case my contingent upon what my delegate assembly, but no, the vote's at 9. You can either vote yes or you can vote no. If you can't vote, you can't vote. Mulgrew shouldn't be allowed to vote, because he doesn't have the authorization from the delegate assembly that was passed that said that any changes in your healthcare, material changes to your healthcare, which was of course watered down as well, had to be supported by the delegate assembly. Mulgrew can't vote without that vote. So Mulgrew should not be voting at the steering committee on Monday. And I will report to you if he is. They're not even paying the PICA bills. No, because there's no stabilization fund is bankrupt. There is no money. So this is why this is a problem. They never rolled PICA into the health program like they had originally were saying they were going to. Now they're going to wait and start doing this all piecemeal. Once this negotiated acquisition is done, then they're going to go back and negotiate the PICA plan. They're going to figure out whatever they have to do for widows and children's fund. They're doing this in pieces. They still have to talk. There's so many people using the GLP-1 medications, which are injectables. There's people also using the GLP-1 medications that are oral. They have to figure this out. It would have been better had they done the whole thing together, not like this, because what's going to happen is they'll get this plan off the ground. They'll get this plan off the ground, and then you're going to end up paying more on PICA because it's not going to have choice. So I'm going to email Michael Mulgrew and call Cambria your questions about voting. Let me know what they say, Jackie. Why would we trust them to run a self-funded behemoth? And that is, well, so self-funding is another issue because it puts the control back in their hands, what they were trying to get when they passed the administrative code. Since they couldn't pass the administrative code, they then decided to do this. It would really be helpful if they just gave us the information we asked, because if this plan truly is as great as they say it is, we would be able to support it rather than keep questioning it, that they keep trying to hide things and not give us the answers. Look, you don't know that this plan is going to be premium free for 5 years. That would be an agreement between the MLC and the city. We haven't seen an MLC agreement. We don't know that your copays aren't going up. We're hearing them say that to you. Where's that in writing? You don't take any verbal agreements with anybody. I just met with a developer tonight, and he's telling me that he had the first right of refusal. And I said, was that written or oral? And he said oral. And I said, well, you can wipe your ass with oral. And he goes, well, absolutely. It's an oral okay. It's an oral agreement. It's not in writing. It doesn't mean anything. This doesn't mean anything, especially with what they put us through for the last 4.5 years. I'm not going to buy that. And no union leader should, especially what the MLC leadership has done to those other unions. Jumping on late, can you please speak to the fact that UFT Healthcare Committee saw the redacted contract last week on Wednesday, but the UFT emailed us today that the meeting in person is at capacity. So, Katie, I'm concerned to hear about that because so what that's telling me is that your UFT delegate assembly is at maximum capacity in person, whatever number that is that your 52 Broadway holds. And then the rest of your attendees would be on telephone only, because I don't know your meetings to be on Zoom, which means they're not seeing anything and they're on a telephone, which is ridiculous because I don't know why they're not doing that on a Zoom call where it's you would have that ability to see things visually, both whatever the contract that they're talking about, or the agreements, anything, because they haven't seen anything. So to do this on a telephone, that's really negligent. The UFT, I did speak about this. The UFT Healthcare Committee did see the redacted contract on the 17th, but no other union was given that ability to bring the contract back to their membership or a committee or even their boards. Only the UFT was given that ability. And the UFT emailed us today that in person, you're at capacity, you're not going to be able to see it. Right. Yeah. That you're not going to be able to see on this UFT delegate assembly meeting. If you're on a telephone only, you're not going to be able to see anything. And you had Emily James and Trisha Arnold from the United Federation of Teachers saying publicly at the Queen's chapter leader meeting was at the same time. So these are all major problems. Why would we trust them? Yep, I just read that one. Because we're all on the phone and we can't see anything virtually. I hear you. Widows and orphans being hurt, absolutely horrible. And they don't care. $1 billion in savings. Yep, that's what they agreed to. Mulgrew's going back to the DA floor with his minions. And he probably stacked that room with all of his colleagues. So I think I about covered anything. Whatever I didn't cover, I'll cover tomorrow. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Enjoy your evening. Sorry to bother you so late, but I had a lot of thoughts going through my head and a lot of phone calls came into me tonight. And when I got out of my meeting, it was a little bit late, but I did want to come and cover them because my phone was lighting up like a Christmas tree. So there must have been some meetings going on today that you guys were getting some information funneled down to you. So I will see you guys tomorrow at 6 p.m. If you are in a union, you'd better be asking your union leader if they're on the steering committee, if you saw me list their names before. If they're not on the steering committee and they do happen to, committee does pass this down to them on the 30th, ask your union if they're in the MLC, how are they going to vote? Are they going to abstain? Are they going to vote no? Or are they going to vote yes? And they should be voting no at this point if they don't have enough information. And I'll tell you, our health policy experts and public policy health experts are all saying there's not enough information to make a determination on this plan yet. And the city, of course, is refusing to give it to us at this time. So you guys have a great night, everyone. I will talk to you tomorrow night at 6. Ciao.
Don't speak what you don't understand. The truth is not in your command. Don't shout about what you think is fake. The decision isn't yours to make. Don't lie about the way things are. Tall tales will take you very far. Don't scoff when they say it's the end. In this life, you know you can't pretend. The days pass by, baby, set in stone. But it's not too late now for you to change your tone.